Hey everyone, and welcome. Are you ready to go on an adventure back in time? We're going to hear an incredible true story. It's got everything. Brave heroes, a kind of grumpy king, and oh, so much tea. All right, let's get started.
A party in a harbor? That sounds a little strange, doesn't it? But believe it or not, the people in our story today threw one of the biggest, most famous parties in history, and it happened right on the water. And guess what? This party literally changed the world.
Okay, so our big story all starts with, well, a drink. It's about a group of people a long, long time ago, and their absolute favorite thing to drink, tea.
So a long, long time ago, there were people living here in America who were called colonists. But the person who was in charge, their king, didn't live here at all. Nope. He lived way across the giant ocean in a place called Great Britain. I mean, it was super far away. It would take months and months to sail a boat from one place to the other.
Now, for a little while, everything was pretty much okay. But then, the king started making some brand new rules. And the colonists, they thought these new rules were really, really not fair. So, what was this big unfair rule about? Well, it was something called a tax. And a tax is pretty simple, really. It's just extra money that you have to pay for something. The king decided he wanted more money. So he just announced, hey, from now on, you have to pay me extra for your tea. Can you imagine if you had to pay extra for your favorite snack just because some person you've never met said so? That's kinda how the colonists felt.
Okay, let's think about this. When you play a game with your friends, you all usually agree on the rules together, right? That feels fair. Everyone gets a say. But the king? He just made up this new tax rule all by himself without ever asking the colonists what they thought about it. And to them, that just felt totally unfair.
And they did not keep quiet about it. They started shouting, "That's not fair! That's not fair!" Their big idea was that if they had to pay the king extra money, then they should also get to help make the rules. It was a really important idea for them. So, what do you think happened next? Did the king listen to the colonists? No way. Instead, he did the opposite. He sent huge wooden ships packed to the very top with that tax tea, sailing across the ocean, headed straight for America.
So the first ship shows up in late November, and suddenly the colonists have a huge problem. See, there was a rule that they had to unload all that tea within 20 days. For 20 whole days, the colonists pleaded, "Send the tea back, we don't want it." But the people in charge said no. The ship couldn't leave. The clock was ticking, tick, tock, until the very last day, December 16th. What were they going to do?
Wow, they were really stuck, weren't they? The king said no, the ships had to stay, but they absolutely did not want to pay that unfair tax. So, let me ask you, what would you do if you were one of the colonists? It's a tricky one. Well, the colonists came up with a plan, a really wild plan. They decided to do something that nobody would ever forget. They were going to have a party, a very, very different kind of party. So, on that very last night, December 16th, when it was cold and dark outside, a group of super brave colonists, sometimes called the Sons of Liberty, knew it was time. Time to stop talking and time to do something big. And here's their secret plan, step by step. First, they put on disguises so nobody would know who they were. Sneaky. Then, step 2, they crept onto the 3 big tea ships as quietly as mice. Shh. Step 3, they started lifting up these huge, heavy wooden boxes full of tea. And finally, the best part, step 4, splash. They threw every single box of tea right into the chilly harbor water. You are not going to believe how many boxes of tea they tossed into the water. Are you ready for this? 342. That is a huge number. It was so much tea, it would be like filling up an entire swimming pool with iced tea. Wow. So, After this giant, splashy tea dumping party, what do you think happened? Do you think the king was happy? Let's see. Happy? Oh, no, no, no. The king was the opposite of happy. He was furious. He was so mad that he decided to punish the whole city of Boston. He closed their harbor, which was the main way they got food and everything else they needed. It was basically like he put a giant lock on the front door of their entire city, so nothing could come in or go out. But you know what? Even though the king was super angry, the colonists actually felt really proud of what they did. One of their leaders, a very important man named John Adams, said it was a bold and daring moment. He meant that it showed just how brave they were for standing up for what they believed in. And that one wild night, that tea party, was actually a super important step. It was one of the things that helped the colonists realize, hey, maybe we should just make our own rules and start our own country. And eventually, that's exactly what they did.
And that brings us to a really great question for you to think about. The colonists showed everyone that sometimes you have to be brave and stand up for what you think is fair, even if it's a little scary. So, can you think of a time when you were brave? It's an amazing story to remember, isn't it?